Have you ever had this happen? It's already past midnight. You know you have to wake up early the next morning. But the episode ends at such a perfect moment that you just can't stop yourself. You say, all right, just one more episode and jump straight into the next one. And that's exactly why today, I'm here with 10 great series recommendations that can completely take over your nights and steal your sleep. On this list, you'll find both high-energy shows that make you want to binge them nonstop and heavier, more impressive series that make you wonder, how did I not watch this earlier? Your time is valuable, so without wasting any more of it, let's get straight into the shows. A murder is committed, and when the detectives arrive at the scene, they find something that absolutely should not be there. Right next to the victim, there's a tiny figure made of chestnuts and matchsticks. At first, it looks like some kind of signature left behind by the killer. But once that little figure is examined, the entire case suddenly starts changing shape. And that's exactly where the Chestnut Man pulls you in. Because from that point on, this no longer feels like a simple murder investigation. It starts feeling colder, darker, and much more carefully planned than it first seemed. The show keeps giving you small details that slowly make the whole thing heavier, and that's what makes it so addictive. You keep watching because you feel like every new piece matters. It's only 6 episodes long, which makes it even more dangerous for your sleep schedule. If you like dark crime thrillers that constantly make you guess, build real tension, and keep pulling you deeper into the mystery, Chestnut Man is a very easy show to get hooked on. Some shows hook you with a huge mystery. Others hook you with one character. And Mr. Inbetween absolutely does the second one. At the center of the series is Ray Shoesmith, a man who can sit through a normal, everyday conversation 1 minute and make you uneasy the next. That's what makes this show work so well. It doesn't need to force intensity all the time, because Ray himself already gives the series that feeling. You never fully relax around him. And that makes even simple scenes interesting. What really makes the show addictive is the contrast. One moment it feels funny.com, even ordinary. Then suddenly you're reminded that this world has a much darker side. And because the episodes are short and the pacing is so clean, the show becomes ridiculously easy to binge. This is one of those series that doesn't scream for attention, but once it gets its grip on you, it's hard to stop. If you like crime dramas with sharp writing, dark humor, and a main character who completely carries the screen, Mr. Inbetween is a must-watch. 2 young boxers get dragged into a world they were never supposed to step into. And from there, things start getting rough very quickly. That's the energy of Bloodhounds. This show wastes very little time. It knows exactly what kind of ride it wants to be, and it throws you into that ride fast. There's loyalty, debt, danger, and enemies who clearly are not the kind of people you want to mess with. And because the series keeps moving forward with real momentum, it becomes one of those shows that's incredibly hard to pause. The action is a huge part of why it works. The fight scenes feel physical and satisfying, not just thrown in for style. But what helps the show stick is that it also gives you strong chemistry between the characters, which makes the emotional side land better than you might expect. If you want something intense, energetic, and very easy to binge in one sitting, Bloodhounds is exactly that kind of series. This is a just one more episode show in the most dangerous way possible. A young journalist moves into a world that looks fascinating from the outside, but the deeper he gets into it, the more dangerous everything starts to feel. That's one of the things Tokyo Vice does so well. This is not a loud show. It doesn't throw constant twists at you or try to impress you every 5 minutes. Instead, it slowly pulls you into its world. The city, the nightlife, the tension, the criminal underworld, the feeling that everyone knows more than they're saying, it all builds this atmosphere that becomes very hard to leave. And that's why the show is so bingeable. It doesn't rely on cheap tricks. It makes you want to stay because the world feels alive and because you always feel like something bigger is happening just beneath the surface. It also helps that the series looks fantastic. There's a sleek, late-night mood to it that fits the story perfectly. If you like crime dramas that feel smart, stylish, and immersive, Tokyo Vice is one of those shows that can quietly take over your nights without you even realizing it. Some shows pull you in with mystery. Some do it with action. Chief of War does it with scale. This is the kind of series that immediately feels big. The world feels larger. The conflict feels heavier. And every episode gives you the sense that the story is building toward something important. But what makes it work is that it's not just trying to look epic. It also gives you real tension underneath all that scale. You start watching because the setting feels powerful and cinematic. Then you keep watching because the struggle inside the story starts to pull you in more and more. There's war, identity, pressure, loyalty, and the feeling that nobody is moving through this world without paying a price. This is exactly the kind of series that can steal a whole night, because every episode feels like part of something bigger. If you enjoy shows that feel intense, serious, and cinematic, Chief of War is one of those titles that can really get its hooks into you. There are some detective shows where you instantly know what kind of mood you're stepping into. Cold streets, messy people, dark secrets. A case that feels bigger than it first appears. That's the feeling Joe Nesbo's Detective Hole gives off. This is the kind of show where the atmosphere alone already does half the work. It feels heavy, tense, and emotionally worn in a way that fits detective stories really well. And once a series gives you that feeling, it becomes very easy to keep going because you want answers. But you also want to spend more time inside that world. That's what makes these shows so dangerous late at night. You tell yourself you'll just watch one episode to get the vibe. And then, suddenly you're pulled into the case, the people, the secrets, and whatever darkness is sitting underneath all of it. If you enjoy serious detective dramas with a colder, moodier tone and enough mystery to keep your brain running while you should definitely be asleep, Joe Nesbo's Detective Hole belongs on your list. Now this one is a little different from the others on the list, because The Bear is not built around murder, gangs, or detectives, but somehow it can still destroy your sleep schedule. Just as easily, the show drops you into a restaurant that constantly feels like it's one bad second away from complete disaster. Everything is moving, everyone is stressed, emotions are high, tempers are short, and because the series captures that pressure so well, it becomes unbelievably watchable. What makes The Bear so addictive is the pace and the chaos. Every episode feels alive. The dialogue moves fast, the tension keeps building, and even when nothing huge is happening on paper, the energy still makes it hard to look away. But the show would not work this well if it were just noise. Underneath all that stress, it has real heart. The characters feel messy, human, and believable, and that's what makes you care. So even though it's different from the darker thrillers on this list, The Bear absolutely deserves its place here. Once this show gets under your skin, it becomes incredibly hard to stop. There are some shows where you can feel the pressure from the very beginning, not because something huge is exploding right away, but because the world itself already feels tense, broken, and dangerous. That's exactly what Mayor of Kingstown does from the start. This series throws you into a world shaped by crime, prisons, power, and survival. And what makes it so bingeable is that almost every situation feels unstable. Every conversation feels like it could go wrong. Every relationship feels like it's carrying more weight than it shows on the surface. That kind of tension is what keeps the episodes moving. You don't just watch to see what happens next. You watch because it constantly feels like something is about to snap. It's gritty, dark, and serious in a way that gives the story real weight. So if you like intense dramas where the stakes feel heavy and the atmosphere never really lets you relax, Mayor of Kingstown is exactly the type of show that can take over an entire night. At first, Fringe might look like one of those Case of the Week shows that you watch casually and move on from, and then, little by little, starts opening up. That's when the addiction begins, because once the world of Fringe starts getting bigger, stranger, and more layered, it becomes one of those series that is incredibly easy to get lost in. Every new episode gives you another strange event, another mystery, another weird idea to think about. But what makes the show really work is that it also gives you characters you actually enjoy following. That balance is why the series still feels so memorable. It has mystery, science fiction, suspense, emotion, and just enough weirdness to keep things exciting without losing the human side. This is exactly the kind of show that steals time from you. You finish one episode because you want answers. Then you start the next because the world keeps getting more interesting. And before you know it, the night is gone. If you want a series that keeps expanding and rewarding your curiosity, Fringe is one of the best choices on this list.